I really need to start going to bed at a normal hour and physically stopping myself from getting back out of bed to make videos on things. And this video is going to be the eternal proof of the fact that that needs to happen, because it's almost 3:10 in the morning, and fortunately I don't have to get up for work tomorrow, which means that I finally have an excuse to bitch about the quote unquote TikTok ban in the US and put forward some fucking truth on the matter, because apparently almost nobody either wants to cover it or wants to actually be truthful about the coverage of it. So let's get a couple of things cleared up right fucking now. For starters, it is not a fucking ban. Let's not bother fucking lying about it, because it doesn't make sense to lie about it. It's disgusting and deceptive. And you know who's the one who's putting forward this lie is TikTok, because it benefits them for everyone to believe and refer to it as an outright ban. It is not initially an outright ban. To explain things from the start here, TikTok is being forced by the US government to sell the product of TikTok, and I know I keep referring to it just as TikTok. TikTok is owned by a Chinese company. The Chinese government requires Chinese companies to hand over all of their user data, which, in the case of TikTok, means the user data of non-Chinese citizens, which is a massive security risk. So, because that is a massive security risk for US citizens to have their data being basically harvested by this app and then immediately handed over to the Chinese Communist Party, they're, being forced to either sell it to an American company or be outright banned from operating in the US. Now, that second part is a ban, but it is not a ban yet, and it is not a blanket ban in its entirety. It is only if that initial sell to a US owned or non-Chinese company is met. So, if they do sell it, and it is no longer owned by a company that is beholden to the CCP, then they are free to continue operations. They make no changes, which I'm fine with that. I have an issue with TikTok being for brain dead, morons who have zero attention span and will believe literally anything told to them. But my issues with the app and the people that like using it aside, I understand that such an app has every right to exist. And I'm not going to say that a ban is worth happening if they will comply with what is rational from a security standpoint. Now, what is not being said, and everyone wants to hide as much as possible in terms of the people who are involved with the app itself and the company, is that this is a very precedented action for not only the US, but for every other country on Earth to take. For example, the Chinese phone company Huawei is banned in a massive number of countries. They cannot sell phones or import phones into many of those countries. The US is one of them. There are multiple telecommunications companies based in China that cannot sell or operate in many countries, to include the US. Some noteworthy ones being Huawei. This reason is the same. Data harvesting immediately handed back to the CCP, and it would be a CCP-controlled infrastructure within a foreign country, which is, to say it again, a national security risk. So it's just not going to happen. They've been blanket banned, and it was incredibly justified, and it's not even like an attack on the user base. It's literally just for security risk. This is like very obvious shit, and one of my biggest gripes with the calling it a TikTok ban and them being mad about it is that it was literally documented that when people on TikTok thought that they could get pushed better in the algorithms of the app if they praised the CCP, that they immediately started making little short videos praising the CCP. And it's like, why? Like, why are you so dumb that you just lack the ability to comprehend why this needs to happen? Like, ignoring the fact that this isn't even, a new action to be taken. Like, this is just a normal thing that has happened multiple times, not even just in the US. Like, this happened in Poland and Germany and Britain. Like, this is not new shit for a Chinese company to be banned. But, like, what? How? How are you incapable of putting two and two together that just maybe this needs to happen? It's beyond me. Even if it wasn't 3 a.m. and I wasn't sitting here bitching at a computer screen, and I had all the time in the world and a shitload of caffeine running through my veins, and I was at the peak of my mental capacity, I still would not be capable of coming up with a good answer for that. Why is so much of the content on TikTok fucking just entirely representative of the zero IQ of just society as a whole? Like, the fact that I have to be honest with myself and lump myself in with these fucking mongoloids, it's like physically hurt. Like, it is like an ethereal knife stabbed into my chest every time I have to admit that I too am technically one of those darn kids on their iPads and iPhones and shit. Like, fuck, man. The fact that it's like 30-year-olds and down, like, I hate being in this demographic. Because it means that I am old enough and experienced enough to the point where I understand why it needs to happen, and yet the average person who is above that 30-year-old cutoff line, as I phrase it, it's a soft cutoff line. I call it, like, millennials and below, but, like, millennials also is, like, damn near 40 at this point, so it's... I call it, like, the millennials and the Gen Zs and something. I don't know. I'm from directly in between millennial and Gen Z, 1998. I call it that lost generation of 97 to 99, where you might identify more with millennials or you might identify more with Gen Z, and it entirely depends on what people you were around more often. It's a weird 3 years period where some of us are just retarded Gen Z dipshits who like TikTok and defend it like morons, and some of us are more like fucking, like proper older millennials. And unfortunately, I fall in 98, so I had a Sony Walkman and a fucking Game Boy Pocket, so that pretty much describes exactly why I am so fucking pissed at all the fucking TikTok using Gen Z dipshits, and why I'm not one of them. And yet my brother was born a year later, and he's one of the TikTok using Gen Z idiots, and I have to constantly rationalize that in my head, that a 1 year difference managed to cause that. But then again, I was always the weirdo who was doing shit like using Windows 95 and playing with dial-up modems, so maybe I'm just the weirdo and he's the rational one. An equally terrifying thought. anyway, it doesn't matter. Because holy fucking shit, is this, like, a non-issue. Like, I wouldn't even be complaining about it if it just wasn't all over my Twitter feed, like, for, like, the last week and a half. And this isn't even, like, new information. Like, we knew that the US government was going after TikTok, like, 3 fucking years ago. At this point, it might even be 4 years ago, depending on how seriously you want to take, that dialogue from, like, the Senate and stuff like that. And it's like, there were hearings about this shit, like, probably at least 4 years ago at this point. But all things considered, it's just, like, a fucking, like, this has been coming for a while. And it shouldn't come as any surprise to anybody that they're being handed this ultimatum. And we're still, the people are defending fucking TikTok? Like, why? Like, do you not understand the value of, like, national security? Which I then have to remind myself that no, a lot of these people do not understand the value of national security. They have no concept of it. Because these are the same people who are being indoctrinated by an app to defend an app, where the main purpose of that app in the US market is to make them dumber and lower their attention spans. And it's succeeding. And it is a fucking disgrace, the society that I am currently stuck living in. If I had access to alcohol right now, I would be fucking getting hammered. Because that's some heavy shit. The world we live in today is fucked. Like, oh my god. We are fucked as a society. If this is the IQ level we're dealing with now about an app, like, holy shit, none of these people should ever become lawmakers. Like, oh fuck, these are not, this is not the best and brightest in the world here. Oh boy. But you know what? Fuck it. If I got to get hated for coming out and outright saying that this is fucked and you're all idiots, then fuck it, hate me. But TikTok needs to either be sold or they need to get banned. And it should not be new information, to people's ears at this point that that's the case. As I said, this is nothing new. Not only is it nothing new for the discussion specifically around TikTok, it's not even new for Chinese-owned fucking products. Like, the fuck's wrong with you idiots? Like, do none of you do even, like, a modicum of research? Like, do none of you, like, understand shit? Like, I can understand not even knowing who the fuck Huawei is, let alone knowing that they were banned. And this was years ago at this point. But, like, the only reason I know that shit's because I work in the information technology sector. So, like, that's just shit that, we know. Like, it's just, like, that's common knowledge. Okay, I can't call it common knowledge. I don't know how many people really know that. But, like, it should be fairly common knowledge. But the TikTok shit, at this point, you have to call that common knowledge, that this shit's been going on for years. Like, this should not be blindsiding anyone. But what's worse is that TikTok is just trying to get away with it, which, fuck me, their user base is just dumb. Like, holy fucking shit. Anyway, I need to stop rambling like I do every video, but, like, oh my god, you people are fucking dumb. Oh my god, you're all idiots. And I have to live on this planet with all of you. Fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna call that. That's gonna be a night right there. Fuck. Ooh, you all piss me off. You're all fucking dumb. Holy shit. Gute Nacht.